Okay, so get this. A future where AI doesn't just, you know, help us solve problems, but like reshapes the very fabric of human existence.
Mhm.
That's what we're diving into today with Dario Amodei's kind of mind-blowing take on the next decade.
Right.
He's the CEO of Anthropic, a leading AI safety company.
Yeah.
And he's sketched out this radically optimistic vision of what powerful AI could bring. Honestly, it's got me both excited and a little terrified.
Yeah, what I find fascinating is that Amade isn't approaching this from like a purely utopian standpoint.
Right.
He's acutely aware of the risks,
Yeah.
but he argues that to navigate those risks effectively, we need a clear picture of the potential upsides. It's like plotting a course through uncharted waters. You need both a map of the potential hazards and a compass pointing toward a destination worth reaching.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So no, dystopian doom scrolling today. We're talking about the potential for powerful AI. Think millions of Nobel Prize level AIs working at lightning speed to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges within our lifetime. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Amodei argues that this transformation won't happen overnight.
Right. There's this concept he calls marginal returns to intelligence.
Okay.
Essentially, even with superintelligence, the rate of progress is often limited by factors outside of pure brain power.
Okay.
Think about it. You can have all the brilliant scientists in the world working on a cure for cancer,
Right.
but you still need time for experiments, for new equipment to be built, for data to be collected and analyzed.
It's like that saying, it's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit.
Right.
AI might be able to come up with incredible solutions, but it still has to operate within the constraints of the physical world and human systems.
Precisely. Amade highlights several limiting factors.
Okay.
There's the speed of the outside world, like how quickly we can manufacture new hardware or implement large-scale changes. Then there's the data itself. AI needs massive amounts of high-quality data to function effectively. And in many fields, that data is either incomplete, messy, or simply non-existent.
And let's not forget the human element.
Right.
Even if AI can solve these complex problems, there are ethical considerations,
Yeah.
social norms, and political realities that can't be ignored.
Yeah.
It's like Amodei says, we had the technology for nuclear power and supersonic flight decades ago, but societal factors played a huge role in shaping how those technologies were developed and used.
Absolutely. And then there are the fundamental laws of physics, which even the most advanced AI can't simply circumvent.
Right.
But here's the really intriguing part.
Okay.
Amodei believes that AI can become increasingly adept at overcoming these limitations.
Okay.
It might find workarounds, develop new tools and techniques, even influence human behavior to accelerate progress in ways we can't yet fully comprehend.
Okay, so it's not going to be an instantaneous AI takeover,
Yeah.
but a gradual yet potentially exponential transformation.
Right.
And the first area where Amodei sees this playing out is in biology and healthcare. Get ready for what he calls the compressed 21st century. Buckle up.
This is where it gets really mind-blowing.
Okay.
Amodei argues that within the next 5 to 10 years, we could witness the equivalent of 50 to 100 years worth of biological and medical advancements, all thanks to AI breaking through those limitations we just discussed.
Wait, so we're talking about potentially compressing a century's worth of medical breakthroughs into a single decade.
Yes.
That sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But Amodei's reasoning is quite compelling.
Okay.
He envisions AI becoming this incredibly powerful research assistant, capable of designing and running experiments at speeds we can barely fathom,
Right.
analyzing mountains of data to uncover hidden patterns in potential drug candidates, even inventing entirely new biological tools and techniques.
So it's not just about AI crunching numbers faster. It's about AI doing the kind of creative, intuitive work that we typically associate with, like brilliant human scientists,
Exactly.
only on a scale and at a speed that's beyond anything we've ever seen.
Exactly, and to illustrate this, Amodei points to recent breakthroughs like CRISPR, mRNA vaccines, and CAR-T cell therapy.
Right.
These weren't just incremental advancements, they were paradigm shifts in their respective fields.
Right.
Amodei believes AI could help us unlock dozens, if not hundreds, more of these game changers in a fraction of the time it would take using traditional research methods.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's talk specifics. What kind of future is Amodei painting with these accelerated breakthroughs? Is it all sunshine and roses, or are there thorns on those genetically engineered rose bushes?
Amodei lays out a vision that is undeniably optimistic, but he's also cautious about overpromising.
Oh.
He starts with infectious diseases, a challenge that has plagued humanity for millennia. He argues that with AI assistance, we could see the development of effective prevention and treatment strategies for nearly all natural infectious diseases within the next decade.
So everything from the common cold to HIV could potentially be eradicated or managed so effectively that they no longer pose a major threat to human health. That's a bold claim.
It is, but consider this. We've already seen how quickly AI can analyze viral genomes and predict mutations, which was crucial in developing vaccines for COVID-19.
Right.
Now imagine that capability supercharged, applied to every known pathogen,
Wow.
and combined with AI's ability to design novel therapies and optimize clinical trials. It's not inconceivable that we could reach a point where infectious diseases, at least the naturally occurring ones, are largely a thing of the past.
That would be an incredible achievement.
Yeah.
And what about other major killers like cancer?
Amodei is equally optimistic about progress in cancer treatment and prevention.
Okay.
He points out that cancer death rates have been steadily declining for decades thanks to advancements in early detection and treatment.
Right.
But he believes AI could supercharge those efforts, leading to personalized therapies tailored to an individual's genetic makeup and the specific characteristics of their tumor,
Okay.
potentially making cancer a manageable, even curable disease for the vast majority of people.
So not just adding years to our lives, but adding life to our years. That's a future worth striving for.
Yeah.
But Amodei doesn't stop at just tackling diseases, does he?
Not at all.
Yeah.
He goes a step further and talks about using AI to understand and potentially prevent diseases like Alzheimer's before they even take hold. Imagine a world where cognitive decline is no longer an inevitability of aging, but a preventable condition.
Okay, now that is what I call radical optimism.
Right.
But I have to ask, what about the potential downsides? What happens to our societies, our economies, our understanding of life and death if we suddenly push human lifespans to, say, 150 years?
It's a question that Amodei doesn't shy away from. He acknowledges that these advancements will come with their own set of challenges and ethical dilemmas.
Right.
We'll need to rethink everything from retirement planning and social safety nets to our understanding of aging, family structures, and even the very nature of human experience. But that's a conversation for another time, perhaps, when we delve into the societal implications of Amodei's vision.
A conversation I'm definitely looking forward to. But for now, let's pause and let our listeners process the sheer scale of what we've just unpacked. This is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. When we come back, we'll dive into how Amodei sees AI revolutionizing not just our bodies, but our very minds. Don't touch that dial. And we're back, still reeling from that glimpse into Amodei's compressed 21st century of healthcare. It's almost too much to process, but then he hits us with his predictions for neuroscience. Basically what happens when you point all that AI horsepower at, like the last great frontier, the human brain.
And, it makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
Amodei argues that many of the same limitations holding back traditional neuroscience research, data limitations, the speed of experiments, the sheer complexity of the brain, these are precisely the kind of limitations that AI could help us overcome.
So instead of waiting decades for incremental discoveries, we're talking about potentially cracking the neural code in a fraction of the time. What does that even look like?
Amodei outlines 4 key areas where he sees AI having a major impact. First, there's the traditional approach of molecular biology and genetics research, which could get a serious boost. Imagine AI designing and running experiments to analyze the intricate interplay of genes, proteins, and neural pathways.
All right.
This could lead to breakthroughs in our understanding of how the brain develops, functions, and malfunctions,
Right.
paving the way for entirely new classes of drugs and therapies for mental illness.
So basically taking the compressed 21st century concept we talked about in healthcare
Yeah.
and applying it to the brain.
Right.
But Amodei doesn't stop there, does he? He's got even wilder ideas up his sleeve.
He does. He goes on to talk about AI enabling a level of precision in neuroscience that's currently unimaginable.
Go.
Think super precise neural probes that can measure the activity of individual neurons.
Wow.
Advanced brain imaging techniques that can track neural circuits in real time, even the ability to stimulate or inhibit specific groups of neurons with incredible accuracy.
Well, hold on. Are we talking about mind control here?
Yeah.
Because that's veering into some ethically murky territory.
It's certainly a valid concern and one that Amodei acknowledges.
Yeah.
He emphasizes the importance of ethical guidelines and oversight as these technologies develop. But remember, we're talking about tools here, and like any tool, they can be used for good or ill. Imagine, for example, being able to use these precise neural interventions to treat conditions like Parkinson's disease, epilepsy, or even severe depression by directly modulating the brain circuits involved.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like the difference between a scalpel and a sword. The tool itself isn't inherently good or bad. It's how we choose to use it.
Right.
But there's another layer to this, right? Amodei also talks about AI providing insights into how our own brains work simply by virtue of us studying AI itself.
Exactly. It's like holding up a mirror to our own intelligence.
Yeah.
As we build more sophisticated AI systems capable of learning, problem solving, and even exhibiting something akin to creativity,
Right.
we'll inevitably learn more about the fundamental principles of intelligence itself. These insights could then be fed back into our understanding of the human brain, leading to a virtuous cycle of discovery.
That's fascinating. It's like the old adage, know thyself. But instead of introspection, we're achieving self-knowledge through the creation of something other than ourselves.
Right.
But let's bring this back down to earth for a second. What kind of concrete changes might we see in this AI-powered future of neuroscience?
Well, for starters, Amadei believes that many mental illnesses that are currently debilitating and difficult to treat could become a thing of the past.
Okay.
Imagine a future where conditions like depression, anxiety, PTSD, even schizophrenia are no longer stigmatized and shrouded in mystery, but understood at a fundamental level and treatable with targeted therapies that address their underlying causes.
That would be a game changer for millions of people. But Amodei doesn't stop there, does he? He pushes even further into the realm of what's possible.
He does. He even speculates that conditions like psychopathy or some intellectual disabilities, which we currently have very limited ways of addressing, could potentially be treated or even prevented with AI-powered interventions. He also talks about the possibility of using AI to enhance cognitive function and emotional regulation in otherwise healthy individuals, essentially helping everyone reach their full mental and emotional potential.
Okay, now we're really getting into uncharted territory. Enhancing human intelligence, reshaping our emotional landscapes, it sounds both exhilarating and a bit unsettling.
Sure.
Who gets to decide what constitutes enhancement and what are the potential ethical pitfalls of tinkering with the very essence of who we are?
You've hit on some of the most crucial questions surrounding this technology, and ones that Amodei doesn't claim to have all the answers to.
Right?
He stresses the need for open and honest conversations about the ethical implications of these advancements, involving not just scientists and engineers, but ethicists, policymakers, and the public at large.
It's a reminder that technology itself is neutral. It's the choices we make, the values we prioritize, that will ultimately determine whether these incredible breakthroughs lead us towards a brighter future or down a more perilous path. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's shift gears for a moment and consider another crucial aspect of Amodei's vision: the potential impact of AI on global economic development. Can AI actually help us bridge the gap between the haves and have-nots, or will it simply exacerbate existing inequalities? So we've explored Amodei's predictions for healthcare and neuroscience, a future where disease becomes like a manageable blip and our brains get a turbocharged upgrade.
Right.
But can AI also tackle the deeply ingrained societal problems that have plagued us for centuries? Can it help us build a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive, not just a select few?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to Amodei's credit, he doesn't shy away from the complexities.
I
He's
agree.
clear that AI isn't a magic wand that can instantly erase poverty, inequality, or political instability.
Right.
These issues are deeply rooted in human history, culture, and power structures.
It's like that saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Right.
AI might provide the tools, the resources, even the knowledge. But ultimately, it's up to us to decide how we use those things and whether we're willing to address the underlying, systemic issues.
Precisely. Amodei argues that instead of viewing AI as a silver bullet, we should think of it as a powerful amplifier.
Okay.
It can magnify our efforts, for better or worse, depending on the intentions and values we bring to the table.
Okay, so AI is a tool, not a savior.
Right.
But what does that actually look like in the context of global development?
Mm.
Where does Amodei see the biggest opportunities for AI to make a tangible difference?
One area he highlights is healthcare distribution.
Okay.
Remember all those amazing medical breakthroughs we discussed earlier? The potential cures for diseases, the preventative measures, the personalized therapies. Imagine being able to deliver those advancements to every corner of the globe, regardless of geographic location, socioeconomic status, or existing infrastructure.
That would be a game changer. Because right now, even when we have effective treatments, getting them to everyone who needs them is a logistical nightmare, especially in, low resource settings.
Exactly, and that's where Emoti sees AI stepping in.
Okay.
Imagine AI-powered supply chains that can predict shortages and optimize distribution routes, even in remote and challenging environments.
Wow.
Imagine AI systems that can track disease outbreaks in real time, identify at-risk populations, and personalize treatment plans based on local conditions and individual needs.
So AI could help us bridge the gap between like developing life-saving treatments and actually getting those treatments into the hands of the people who need them most. That feels like a moral imperative, not just a technological possibility.
It does, doesn't it? And Amadei doesn't stop at healthcare. He also explores the potential for AI to play a pivotal role in accelerating economic growth in developing countries. He points to historical examples like the East Asian miracle, where several countries experienced rapid economic transformation in the latter part of the 20th century.
Right.
Amadei suggests that AI could help replicate and even surpass those successes by assisting governments in crafting more effective economic policies.
So instead of relying on guesswork or like outdated models, countries could use AI to analyze vast amounts of economic data, identify growth opportunities, and predict the potential consequences of different policy decisions.
Exactly.
It's like having a team of like super economists working around the clock to optimize a country's economic trajectory.
Exactly. Of course, this idea of AI guiding economic policy raises important questions about oversight, transparency, and accountability. Who controls the AI? Whose values are embedded in its algorithms? These are crucial considerations that Amadei acknowledges but doesn't fully resolve. He stresses the need for ongoing dialogue and collaboration between technologists, policymakers, and the public to ensure that AI is used responsibly and ethically in these high-stakes domains.
It's a reminder that technology is never value neutral.
Right.
It reflects the biases and priorities of its creators. But let's shift gears for a moment and address the elephant in the room when it comes to AI and the future of work.
Sure.
What happens in a world where AI can automate many of the tasks currently performed by humans? Will we see mass unemployment, social unrest, and widespread economic instability, particularly in developing countries where a significant portion of the workforce relies on manual labor?
It's a valid concern and one that Amadei takes seriously. However, he cautions against falling into the trap of thinking about this solely in terms of job displacement.
Okay.
He argues that AI, while undoubtedly changing the nature of work, also has the potential to create entirely new industries, job categories, and economic opportunities that we can't even imagine yet.
So it's not just about replacing human workers with machines, but about fundamentally rethinking how we organize our economies, value human skills and contributions, and prepare for a future where the relationship between work, leisure, and purpose might look radically different than it does today.
Precisely. Amadei emphasizes the need for proactive measures, like investing in education and retraining programs,
Right.
exploring new social safety nets, and fostering a culture of lifelong learning to help people adapt to these rapid technological advancements. He believes that by embracing a mindset of adaptability and innovation, we can navigate this transition and create a future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive in an AI-powered world.
That's a message of cautious optimism that I find both inspiring and challenging.
Yeah,
But all of this assumes a relatively stable and cooperative global landscape.
right.
What happens if AI becomes a tool for conflict or empowers authoritarian regimes to tighten their grip on power?
Yeah.
How does Amadei's vision account for the potential for AI to be used in ways that exacerbate existing geopolitical tensions or even lead to new forms of warfare?
You're hitting on one of the most pressing concerns surrounding powerful AI.
Yeah.
Amadei is very clear that this technology is a double-edged sword.
Right.
It has the potential to be used for great good or great harm.
Right.
And the outcome depends largely on the choices we make today.
So no technological determinism here. AI doesn't save us or doom us, it's a tool. And how we wield that tool will shape the future, for better or worse. What specific steps does Amadei propose we take to mitigate these risks and ensure that AI is used responsibly in a geopolitical context?
He advocates for a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah.
First, he stresses the need for international cooperation and dialogue.
Right.
He argues that democratic nations, in particular, need to work together to establish shared norms and guidelines for the development and deployment of AI, particularly in military and intelligence contexts. He calls this the Entente strategy, drawing a parallel to the alliance between democratic nations in the early 20th century to counter rising authoritarian threats.
Okay.
He believes a similar spirit of collaboration is essential to prevent a global AI arms race and ensure that this technology is used in a way that upholds democratic values and promotes global security.
That makes sense. It's about recognizing that the challenges posed by AI transcend national borders and that
Yeah.
tackling them effectively requires a coordinated, global effort.
Right.
But even if we manage to navigate those geopolitical risks, there's still a fundamental question that Amadei's vision raises. In a world where AI can potentially outperform humans in virtually every domain, from scientific discovery to artistic creation, what does it mean to be human? What gives our lives meaning and purpose when so much of what we've traditionally valued about ourselves, our intelligence, our creativity, our problem-solving abilities, could be replicated or even surpassed by machine?
It's a question that has haunted philosophers and science fiction writers for decades.
Right,
And it's one that Amadei doesn't shy away from.
right.
He acknowledges that AI's rise will likely force us to re-examine some of our most deeply held beliefs about human uniqueness and purpose.
Yeah.
But he doesn't believe that this is necessarily a bad thing. In
Okay.
fact, he suggests that it could be an opportunity for profound growth and self-discovery.
So instead of fearing obsolescence, we should embrace this as a chance to redefine what it means to be human in an age of intelligent machines.
Mhm.
How does Amadei envision that playing out? What does he propose as a source of meaning in this AI-driven world?
Amadei argues that meaning and purpose aren't derived solely from our ability to perform tasks or solve problems better than any other entity.
Right.
He points to the things that make us uniquely human: our capacity for love, compassion, empathy, creativity, our ability to form deep bonds with each other, appreciate beauty, find humor in the mundane, and strive for something beyond ourselves.
It's a reminder that even in a world of super-intelligent machines, there are certain aspects of the human experience that remain uniquely ours to define and cherish.
Exactly. He believes that AI, rather than diminishing our humanity, could actually help us to reclaim it by freeing us from the drudgery of tasks that can be automated, providing us with more time and energy to focus on the things that truly matter: our relationships, our passions, our contributions to something larger than ourselves.
It's a vision that's both humbling and empowering. Humbling in the sense that it reminds us of the limits of our current understanding of intelligence and consciousness,
Yeah.
but empowering in the possibilities it opens up for human potential and fulfillment in an era of unprecedented technological change. As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with a sense of both awe and cautious optimism. Awe at the sheer scale and ambition of Amadei's vision, and a cautious optimism that we, as a species, can rise to the challenge, navigate the risks, and harness the power of AI to create a future that's not just technologically advanced, but one that's more equitable, more fulfilling, and ultimately more human.
And perhaps that's the most profound takeaway from Amadei's work, a reminder that the future isn't something that simply happens to us. It's something we create collectively through the choices we make, the values we prioritize, and the actions we take.
Right.
As we stand at the cusp of this AI revolution, let's proceed with both wisdom and courage, shaping a future that reflects the best of what it means to be human.
A future where technology serves humanity, not the other way around. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey, folks. Until next time, keep asking the big questions, keep diving deep, and keep believing in the power of human ingenuity and compassion to shape a brighter tomorrow.